He had terrible tragedy, Tim, of course. And what do we know about this man? He was a Jordanian doctor.
Jordanian doctor, very well known in Al-Qaeda circles inside Jordan, where he had several names. And he was a very big name, apparently, on the internet. He was known for propagating the Al-Qaeda brand throughout the world on the internet, and jihadists sort of looked to him as a source of inspiration. The Jordanians pulled him in more than a year ago, and he was in the hands of Jordanian intelligence for over a year. They thought they'd rehabilitated him. So they then sent him back out. Okay, why don't you actually work for us now? Go back out to Al-Qaeda, pretend you weren't really working for them, but really you're working for us. Find some of the senior leaders. And this is where it gets even more murky and more embarrassing. I mean, we have to get past the terrible tragedy which it is. But it's deeply embarrassing for the CIA, for reasons I'll come on to, and for the Jordanians. They send him to Afghanistan, and they pass on their asset, as it's called, to the Americans, to the CIA. So the Americans now know, right, the Jordanians have got someone deep inside Al-Qaeda, AQ. But of course, all the time, he's actually working for Al-Qaeda. Now, your brain starts to melt when you get past double agent, but he is technically a triple agent. He arrives at the forward operating base. The Jordanian intelligence handler is there and says to the Americans, I'm vouching for him, in we go. Now, I don't know for a fact if the Jordanian intelligence officer died, but I believe he did in the bombing. And there's a statement from the Jordanians that one of their army people has died in Afghanistan working for humanitarian affairs. Take that as you will. I think he was in the room when the bomb went off. So they didn't search him. In he comes, into the room, to sit down and have the meeting with the core of the CIA's operation in Khost province, at which point he explodes his suicide vest, killing himself, 8 Americans, 7 of which were CIA, and I think the Jordanian intelligence officer as well.
And this, of course, comes on top, this revelation comes on top of a scathing assessment of the American intelligence operation in Afghanistan.
Yeah, and elsewhere. I mean, it all flows into President Obama's speech tonight about security and security lapses. There was this terrible security lapse on Christmas Day with the pants bomber. This falls into the category of lapses because even if he was vouched by the Jordanian intelligence officer, I think from now on, it doesn't matter who they are, they're going to be searched going into these bases. And it's deeply embarrassing for the CIA because of the lapse. It's deeply embarrassing for the Jordanians because their level of cooperation with the CIA is now laid bare for people to see. I mean, it's an open secret in the Middle East, but it's extremely unpopular. And in Jordan itself, the fact of cooperation between the two agencies. And now here's, not proof, but here's how it works laid bare. And equally significant, imagine the propaganda victory for Al-Qaeda. They had a propaganda victory just by getting through American security on Christmas Day. They've now got another one where they've actually struck what they regard as the heart of the enemy, the CIA. They've got absolutely inside them, blown them up. A long-term operation has come to fruition. One of their senior people that is known throughout the jihadi circles has now, in their terms, martyred himself, which in their world view is a good thing. They love death, we love life. And it's a huge propaganda victory. It was bad enough when the CIA just lost its operatives. Now we know the details of how they lost their operatives. It's worse than anybody could have thought.